everybody. Sitaram and welcome to our ninth session of Bhagwat Katha. Let's all stand as we begin this evening with arati and invocation mantras before we go forward. Sajancha Varti Sanyuktam Grahina Yojitam Mayam Deepam Grahana Devesham Trailokya Timirapaham Jai Jai Bhagwat Bhagwan Ki Hai Aarti Everybody. Om Namo Narayana. Hari Om Namo Narayana. 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 Hari Om Namo Narayana. Om Gajananam. Everybody. Vitam Kapeta Jumbo. Uma Sudam Sho. Namami Viganeshwara. Sarva Mangala Mangalye. Sharanye Narayani Guru Brahma. Everybody. Guru Devo Guru Sakshat Tasmai Shri Om Namo Bhagwate Vasudevaya. There we go again. Om Namo. Lift your voice. Om Namo Bhagwate Vasudevaya. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. Sitaram again, everybody. Please have your seats. Make yourself comfortable. Earlier today in our discourse, we started and we discussed at length at Jamil, and then we went into the discussion with Yamraj, and in it, the teachings of Yamraj. In it, it has one specific point that is very strange. The Yamdut say that, O Prabhu, O leader, nobody could break dharma, dharmic law. Nobody could change your ruling. When you weigh the soul, good and bad, nobody could question that or query that. But here now, you told us to go and bring the soul of Ajamil, and I'm summarizing for everybody. Go bring that sinner for me. He is such a bad fella. For 88 years he's living according to Bhagwat, and for 88 years he's thieving, kidnapping, and they listed out all the sin this man did. He comes, some people like to say, I come from an illustrious family, I come from high birth, I come from great caste, I come from this, that, and the other. But he came from those things. But his influence, the first night we talk about where does Kali Yuga live? The house of the prostitute, the gambling den, the place where envy lives, the alcohol shop. And he goes and he gets carried away with lust. And he does end up in the gambling den. He will go and rob people to go and bet money. And when he owed people, he'd have to go and rob more people. And so his life went on. In the course of the life, he ends up with a prostitute and he marries her and they have 10 children. But one grace, the girl puts proper names for her children. And in our discourse, we understand the value of putting, in this case, his last child, who he loved the most, to be honest, the baby. Everything for him was the baby. The book says he's eating, the baby eats. He's drinking, that's what the baby is drinking. The attachment is so strong. The child's name is Narayan. And everything is Narayan this, Narayan that, which is another name for Lord Vishnu. But this person did not think that one day life was going to leave his body. Apparently, he was going to live forever. So he never changed his ways. He never made any reformation. When I was 19, I was a Rambo and I used to fight everybody and this, that, and the other. But now I reached a little senior age. Let me straighten up. I have to face God. And the level-headed person goes through that growth naturally in the different stages of life. Naturally, as they say, you mature, you grow up, you catch yourself. But he didn't do that. And we discussed how in the Nam Sanskar, the father whispers, if you've never seen the prayer, whispers in the left ear, in the right ear, babe, from today, your name, let me say, is Bishan, your surname. And this is one of the significance of this prayer. Imagine we don't know where the soul coming from. So let's just pretend my surname in my previous birth is Mathura, and I'm coming now to take birth in the Singh family. But the Singh people will do puja, as you could imagine. Thanksgiving, we get the baby. Shrad, Yagna like this, they're doing charity, big and small. And the one thing we just say is, dear God, I who doing it, but bless my children, bless my grandchildren, bless my family, bless those people that pass on. But suppose there was never any linkage formulating the person's link to your family name. And where does it show up? You see, when a young lady have to marry, in the part where they're saying, okay, well, your father's name was this, and he gave you that name, and now he's going to give you a way in the ceremonies to go and join husband name, and you take husband name in the life of a girl. In the Nam Sanskar, this is where you link, okay, from now on, you belong to the Singh. And when I'm using Singh as an example, when Singh have prayers, charity, Shrad, etc., you will get your share of blessings now, whilst you're alive. And one day when you give up this birth and your soul traveling, you will continue to reap that benefit. Who gets the reward when the baby is born? The father. Pandit, a beautiful baby is in the hospital. Could I go and see the child? Yes, go ahead, Dad. When you see the eyes of your new generation, your next, let's say a child, that continuity, you get liberation, more so for grandparents. But now the father has to pick up the work, that he is going to train this child, because boy or girl, the choice is free parents from the different types of sin. A simple one, in Sanskrit language, we say putra, putri, for son or daughter. And what it means is, boy or girl, the person by their choices that will save the parent from certain types of hellish experience. People who go in that realm of hell, a place in hell called Put, when they starve children, when they are insultive to children, when they favor, let's say I'm a stepfather and I have my children and they are other children, but I only favor my children. You leave people, children, hungry, you're going to have to pay for that. But when the opposite now, I don't care who children it is, it's children. I have patience with them. I have compassion with them. I'm going to feed them. There yields a different type of blessing, and it is not your children. But it starts with patience. It starts with the understanding that you have to love these children regardless to the background or where they come from. that is a form of devotion by itself. Because what some people do, the best murti, watch this one. This Ganesh was talking about Ganesh Baba a lot. Krishna is named Sham Sundar. He's very dark. He's very dark, but then you'll find somebody. If that person belonged to a different race, I can't love that child. I cannot feed that child. I cannot share anything for that child. I could only love children that look like me. But God make all. So we say one thing in prayers, but in reality, sometimes racial and prejudice cause us to do different. That is why in chapter 12 of Bhagwat Gita, he says, my devotee does not practice any prejudice. All, Sitaram, all is God children. And for this reason, when you're doing seva or any type of charity, let me just say, sharing rice by the table, you don't feed some, you feed all. And you pray that God activate inside the person. So in the case of a Jamil, the father did all the prayers, truthfully. The night before, we were talking about how when parents are negligent, children could go wayward. But what about when parents are trying their best and doing their best? And because of friends, because of influence outside yourself and your home, children take up a different hobby or interest or something, and they go down a different road. We talked about becoming addicted to vaping, violence, marijuana. There are some children that will tell you, well, Pandit, you can't tell me those smoke marijuana. Lord Shiva accept marijuana. But the difference is, there is truth to that. They offer it like incense when they put it down lingam. But as a Hindu, as a Sanatanist, we respect the law of the land. If the law says marijuana use is illegal, this is why when your Baba give you the praise list, he don't put marijuana on it, in all fairness. It is not propagated, it is not shared in the temple in Trinidad. But if you go Rishikesh and you go to all the Shiv Baba temple, they're picking it side the road and they're rolling it like fat incense stick and they arti in Mahadev Baba. But consider this, if I take pain tablets like oxycodone or any other pain tablet, that could relieve some good pain. It could have a purpose. But if I take too much, I could get equally addicted to the same thing. I could damage my kidney. It could harm me. It could affect my mental ability. Just imagine driving or something. Have you ever seen a tablet say, while taking this tablet, do not drive or operate heavy equipment? For example, it has an effect on your cognitive sense and your behavior. In Hinduism, we call that change in your behavior, in this text, in our conversation, the effects of Kali Yuga. An energy that seems little, eat, drink, something, associate, and it causes major trouble in your life. What's the big deal with going to play roulette or blackjack or something? It's good fun, Pandit, until you get so into it and hooked that you cannot walk away from it. Talking to anybody is not a problem. When I was in school, everybody was drinking, but knowing who you are, which is the test of your character, mean that is 9 rum and coke and 1 coke. I mixed with all kind of people, eating all kind of things. The only thing I never come across is somebody eating a dog. But I wouldn't, all you know who mommy was, I wouldn't discriminate and tell you you're bad because you're eating meat. You eat where you want, I go eat where I want. That is like saying, me and you like doubles, but only people who don't eat pepper is good people. And people who just eat pepper is bad people. Just as how that sounds stupid, when you start to judge people based on what you believe in, I just offer hibiscus flowers, and people who just offer genda, them less than. Think about it like that. When you start to see people different because of how they pray, what they offer, what I pray in the Lord Shiva, and you worse than me because you just pray to Kali Mata. And you start to discriminate the God too. It have places you cannot put a Kali Murti in your temple, you know. You're bad if you do that. You're taboo. But all is the same goddess. That's the joke. Love Saraswati. Watch how Hindu people funny. Love Lakshmi, love Saraswati, love Durga, but you see Kali, but they come from the same place. Hindu people different. You know? We listened to the story of a Jamal where a father did his diligence and really failed. But the value of the name of God shone through, washed away all the sin, and allowed him to get mukti, liberation, just by saying the name. Tonight, we're going to hear the opposite. Child good, father bad. Let me join together in our Sumiran. Put your hands together, everybody, and pray. No. Redhi Siddhi Datta Siddhi Sarana Varana Varana Sumiro Barambar Madana Kadana Giralavo Ganapati Kripanidan Jnana Khani Ananda Bhavanam Dehu Mohi Varadan Varano Bhasha Bhagavatam Jai Shivananda Khan Bhutanatha Bhavabhaya Harana Bhakti Vishaya Nirvan Gauravadana Mangala Karana He Brajachunda Makunda Brajabhushana Dushana Harana Atahu Bhavabhaya Panda Charana Sharana Anakara Jai 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 Jagadisha Sevat Shesha Mahima Mita Abheva Veda Veda Janata Rahe Riddhi Siddhi Datta Siddhi Sadana Varana Varana Sumiro Barambar Madana Kadana Giralavo Sumiro Barambar Madana Kadana Giralavo. Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Now we enter Skand or book 7, chapter, the ending of chapter 3 going into 4. We all have heard Prahlad, Narsingh, but the truth is sometimes we just remember the story and not the teaching. There are some things in the Prahlad discourse that are found in Bhagwat that does not exist. There is something called Chepak Katha. Chepak Katha, you will see it in versions of Ramayana. Chepak means embellishment. The author is adding in things to build the image in your mind of how the emotion is supposed to flow. In some of the discussions in this discourse, you will come across this practice of Bhagwat. And the discourse does not truthfully deal with the origin of Bhagwat. In it, it deals with the thinking of Prahlad. The focus is the development of this devotee. Sometimes we think, okay, well, he was a bad father, a child that was doing good, and then trouble come. God had to intervene to save the child. But if that is your idea of this discourse, then you have missed a lot of the teachings. Where, let me ask you tonight, you are the Hindu, where does Prahalad get the teaching that irritate his father? If you is the father, you choose the pundit, you choose the guru, you choose which school the child attend, you choose the influence that is going to be around your child. So how do you explain the influence for the responsible parent, the influence that is causing a different outcome in your children, to cause to this extent that you want to kill the child out? It's very strange. Yudhishthir is the person. Parikshit is listening to a katha between Narad Muni and Raja Yudhishthir many years before. Yudhishthir says, I have heard that it had a father, and the father was very cruel to his son. What caused that? He says, understand who the father was first. Chapter 3 in this skand, they focus on the prayer of this person. The person does different, there are different type of havan, sodasi, atiratha, different type of havan, left hand offering. There's a reason why we stress as pundits to offer with your right hand. There are different tamasic, different unclean offerings that are made. There is prayers that is made with your left hand, but that is where people pray for, like when you're talking about, in the Indian movie, they see they're praying for arrow, or praying for a weapon that will call blood. It wants to kill somebody. Those are the methods and the usage of the left hand for that type. That is an example of that type of prayer. Hiranyakashipu used all of these methods, and he mastered all the prayers. He invited the Hotri, the Brahman to sit by the Bedi, the Ritvik, and allow them to chant the prayer. Remember, the concept is bad people don't pray. But here now, you might have one Baba by a Bedi or in your prayers. This man making sure he had the four of them, chanting mantras that symbolize that everything I offer in here must be charged with your mantra, with your power, God. Except the sweet rice. I'm offering sweet to get sweet times. We talk about that. Karma. After doing all the different type of tapasya, following the rules that laid down in the Ved, very successful, he gains an audience with Brahma. And Brahma tells him, I am so pleased with all the different prayers that you have been doing. I'm so happy with the focus that you have been utilizing in this prayer. The way you are focused here, it's amazing. For this reason, you have listened to the chit rather than the achit, meaning the negative voice, the little voice that gives you vidya or the guidance. You took the right advice and sitting by yourself, only accompanied by this voice of God within your head. And we're going to talk about one name of Lord Vishnu that deals with this voice in your head. He says, your guidance, because your initiative is very pure, your prayer is very focused, ask for what you want. He says, as you know, let me not meet with death indoors, out of doors, during the night, during the day, by the hand of any other being that is created by you, O Brahma, or by any weapon. Let there be no death to me, either on the earth or in the sky, either by man nor beast, by God, by demon, by serpent, living or a dead individual. Grant me matchless prowess and strength in fight, and allow me to rule all embodied beings. Lastly, confer upon me great position, high amount of power, rank and file, amongst even the guardians, the deuters that rule the different directions. Allow all of them to do my bidding. Allow me to have unfailing mystical power, that when I talk, nobody is going to react in a negative way or try to question my ruling. In fact, let it be as if they are captivated and they will be glad to follow my rule. Brahma, without a second thought, says, no problem, let it be so. But Narad Muni tells to you this story. Hiranyakashipu is praying in this moment, and from the time he gets the power and he starts to get all the accolades, the same devatas now place him on the throne. Because of the blessing of Brahma, he is in charge of things like Garud, all the Siddhas, Kinnaras, Vidharas, Yaksh, Rakshas, Pisach, Bhut, all report to him. He is sitting in the lofty chairs in the throne room of Indra. He is served only alcoholic drinks, and he is becoming bewildered and becoming wild. Indra and all the other devatas are helpless to stop him. Why is it that Brahma gives power to these people that only use it for bad? Yudhishthira says, please tell me what happened. And Narad Muni says, after a very long time, this is one of the things that we don't think about, how long Hiranyakashipu was ruling. If a yuga is about 500,000 average years, verse 20 says in chapter 4, for 71 yuga, Hiranyakashipu ruled unabated without any person to interfere with his teachings, rulings, etc. He had complete influence. He had complete power, and nobody could say otherwise. Being extremely afraid of his harsh punishment, people would accept his rule and quietly bend their head. And nobody except Indra was brave enough to ask for help. No one had the confidence that there is, and please remember this, there is no way we could rid this person. It is as if he will be in charge forever. Who, when you listen to the shrap, day nor night, sky nor earth, man, beast, nobody could kill him. Who is going to destroy this man? Everything is created by Brahma, and everything that is created by Brahma is ineffective. Who is going to kill him? Indra, on the other hand, held on to the belief that if Lord Shiva cannot help, if Brahma cannot help because of the pronouncement, I am still going to beg. I don't care if he turns me down. I have faith in him. I am going to ask Mahavishnu for help on behalf of everybody. Puts his hand together and he calls on him in a form called Antaryami. You hear that name a lot in bhajan. Antaryami. And Antaryami means you who dwell inside everything. This now does not reflect with the big crown or the mukdar or the Sudarshan chakra, but really the energy that charges each and every person. And he begs him that you are the inner controller of my mind and my body. Dear God, we need help. Because of our sins, now we are suffering under the rule of a politician that seems to have mystical power to squeeze the life out of our body, and we are helpless against it. We cannot defend ourselves. It is as if nobody wants to stand up, nobody wants to lift their hand to say they have a problem. When this man talks, nobody stands in opposition. And when his prayer was finished from the heavenly voice, a reply did come. Let's hear what happens. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala.
Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala.
Mama Bhishta Vijoye Shrishtam Sarvesham Bhadram Yestuva Ma Sharmahe Bhutanamya Sarve Yopaye Ati.
Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala.
Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava
Madhava Gopala. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala.
Yat Deveshu Vedashu Gaushu Viprashu Sandayashu Dharma Mai Vedashu Sagyeva Anshu Vishwayate. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava
Madhava Gopala.
Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava
Gopala. Hari Narayana Govinda Keshava Madhava Gopala.
Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. Voice emanating invisible. The voice is emanating from the heavens like the rumbling of crowd filling the space. He says, O Indra, foremost of devatas, don't be afraid. Settle yourself. Hold to your prayer. The wickedness and the oppression caused by this daitya, this demon, I know about it. And I will pacify this. But wait, give it time. Whenever people cherish hatred for God, the Ved, the cow, the Guru, righteous people, the religion or their dharma, me, the unseen infinite God, know that they will perish in no time. You know, in today's world, in the job, you want to fire somebody, you have to know how you're firing somebody. You have to give them notice and letter and all this type of thing, else you could end up in more trouble, truthfully. And one of the easiest way if you want to fire somebody is give them rope. Don't stop them. Don't advise them. In fact, give them more chance to do what they're doing. And they will do it to themselves. More or less, this is what will happen here. The maliciousness of this person will overwhelm. He will accumulate karma when he has all these enemies, when he hates everything, when he's fighting everything, he's not helping anybody, he's not showing compassion to anything. The karma will build because this person was so strong in his prayer. He cannot just attack him just like that. In fact, when he seeks to injure his own son, when the maddening influence of karma, it reaches to that height that the same person that was just praying, the same person now wants to kill the child that is giving good advice. And you'll hear how the child phrased it. He didn't say anything wrong. But now you want to kill it. Then that will cause your doom and your downfall. Your own actions, your own behavior, your own thoughts will garner so much negative karma that my hand will be forced to act against him. Vindravan Biharilala ki jai. In this way, Indra was pacified. He knows he has to wait, have patience. Prayers is patience. Sometimes people think as they say the prayer, God's supposed to act. You know, long time you watch, how you call this show, with the genie in the bottle. As you ask for it, the genie is to give you it. Some people think God work like that. It's only you. God is only listening to your prayer. And it have nobody else to consider in the equation. You know, there's a saying, God sure, but he's slow. Indra understands that to be a devotee, you have to have patience in prayer. Time is passing and Hiranyakashipu ends up with not one son, as we sometimes think. Prahalad is the eldest, but Alahadad and others, he ends up with 4 sons. And they all have very strong character, but Prahalad is different. He, forget what we know about prayers, he worships. He has no problem bowing to somebody who is prayerful. He has a noble character. He's self-controlled. He's not full of ego and false pride because he's a prince. He was a friend to a friend. He was a well-wisher to somebody that would wish him well. He was a servant and he bowed to the feet of noble people or aged people. He was like a father to poor people or needy people. He would assist them with that type of love rather than belittle people or break them when helping them, ridicule them. He was an equal to his brothers and friends of that generation likewise. He looked upon elders as his master. Though he was endowed with great learning and magnificence, he had a lot of personal charm and would speak with people who had less education, still with respect and regard. In dangers and calamities, in dangerous moments, his mind remained stable and was not going to panic or run helter-skelter out of cowardice. But this person had good training in crisis management, and people would turn to him, although a young child, turn to him for solace and closure. He didn't see any desire for enjoyment from the suffering of other people as others did in his time. He controlled himself, especially as a young fella, not in the age for puberty to even think about sexual interests, etc. Now, very earnest and very innocent, this is Prahalad. Prahalad became a friend to the Devatas, a model for righteous seeking people. What to speak of the devotee of Lord Vishnu? Prahalad had natural love and devotion for Lord Vishnu. Hence, it is impossible to describe his qualities, because when the person loves the Lord, they start to align themselves with his traits, which you could find in Bhagwat Gita chapter 12. Imagine, I love the Lord, but I like to do unrighteous things and unrighteousness. It wouldn't fit for very long. Even as a child, he would put aside his toys and he would absorb into the spiritual conversations of older people, elder people. He would find it interesting. Puja. He would want to smell the scent of the Havan, little things to major things. You're walking somewhere. Has it ever happened to you and you smell Google? Oh, like somebody have praise. You smell the ghee and you immediately your mind you know what it is. He had that. And he had a very straightforward, very, not to say any drama or any type of behavior to get attention, sorry. The attention was God. He has a problem, we'll fix it in a practical way, ask for help, get the assistance, and get over and move on. Because he believed that he was fully embraced by the Lord in the form of Lord Vishnu, that whatever he is doing, sitting, walking, eating, sleeping, drinking, speaking, he was in the company of the Lord. And in this way, he did not have the agitation or the confusion that people who do not have that realization that my God is with me. What are you worried about? What are you fretting about? What are you, and we all fret. What are you beating up yourself about? But if you realize, when you hear people talk about God realization, where God lives, then the fear factor decreases a lot. And he had that confidence. He is very calm. And in some cases, he would start to talk to the voice in his head. Hiranyakashipu is convinced this child is mad. He gets excited about prayers. He gets excited about the work or the labor for anything goodly or sattvic. And Hiranyakashipu is wondering, why are you working and worrying about a God you cannot see? I am here. I am so powerful. All the devatas, everybody touch my feet and they bend to my will, and even they cannot beat me. Who is the real God here? Child, you really, catch yourself. He would sing loudly. He would shout at the top of his voice, Jai Vishnu, chanting what he knew. He would dance. He would tell the singers in the court and in the palace to sing different bhajans, celebrating the glory of Lord Vishnu. And they now seeing the joy from him, it starts to spread. Other people, what song is that he's singing? Simple language. What is that you're chanting? Who is it for? How is it that it gives you so much joy? I want to have that joy too. So I go sing like you. All these things started to irritate the Father. Why are you not singing my praise? Vishnu ever do anything for you? Stupid boy. But now, although there's this force, this heaviness, although you call him Father, around the boy, he didn't let the Father's lack of faith, negative or aggressive way, interfere with his belief. When he would feel the presence, the manifestation of the Lord internally, he's doing his prayer, externally rain falling, he feels that God is accepting his puja. This little boy with tears would run from his face. And because of this now, he's happy. The felicity, the contentment is not going to be polluted by the contact or close proximity with people who don't have faith. I am who I am. In the opening, when I tell you, you could eat where you want, you could drink where you want, and I could stand next to you and that have nothing to do with me, for example, then you could get to be very confident and comfortable with anybody. But when people get, you're a pundit, how you associating with people who just drink rum? How you talking to them and they just drink? Look, he drunk. Then you're missing it and God inside of everybody. Anybody. I sure if I ask any one of these pundits here, all it is do prayers for people who just drink. Think what I say. When you start to judge, we're living for God. If your job is to guide them, man. In this case, he is finding happiness wherever he go, and nobody could take the happiness from him. Yudhishthira says, everything you're saying here is very good. Narad Muni, you talking like this is a love story between father and son. It's a great, everybody love each other, everybody living good, but this is not the story I heard. What I heard is that the father wanted to kill the son. The father is not affectionate. The father is ready to punish these disobedient sons of his for imparting education to the other members of the family about Lord Vishnu rather than sing the praise of the father or the ruler at the time. Narad Muni says, understand that everything has a beginning. He says, listen, you want to understand where the You're curious about where the hatred for this father comes from, where the content comes from. He says it started when Prahalad wants to go and teach. He wants to preach. He wants to go and tell people what he believes and what he knows. And people started to listen to him. That's the problem. Chapter 5. Let's hear what happens. Yudhishthira says, tell me what it is he went and he tell the people what's going on. Nanda Dhuladi Radha Pyari Kunja Vihari Shama Murari Nanda Dhuladi Radha Pyari Kunja Vihari Shama Murari Ekada Asurayatha Putri Samadagaro Twitch Pandavaye Prashchit Yedam Katham Vasita Vaishnaveyati Nanda Dhulani Radha Pyari Kunja Vihari Shama Murari Nanda Dhulani to know where it started, understand that this king is dependent on his son to one day toe the line and become the next generation, the next king to rule the country. So it started off where one day the father holds Prahalad, the eldest boy, on his lap. And he says, son, what do you regard as good, my child? What is the greatest thing you could think about to test his mind? Prahalad, with full respect for his father, great Asura, to the embodied being mentally harassed by the constant thinking of I and mine. This is mine, that is mine. I regard that it is in the interest of people to know the truth, that in everything, the soul of everything is Sri Hari Vishnu. From inside the wood, the wall, the post, the floor, you, even you, Dad, the truth is, what do we own? Narad Muni says, that didn't go down too well with this father. And the father continuously would test the children. He wants to hear what they are thinking, what will they say, hoping that one day childish thoughts and childish things would grow out of their mind and he would see the true valor of his father in terms of his conquest, in terms of his achievements. He wants to get the accolade that his son emulates him, adores him, wants to be him. And this father constantly quizzes his boys about it. Let's hear what happened. Priyate manitamaye ashu prashit prahaladetyatam dhajaye prashit lakhane vachnaye sampreshantiyate. Kathame mesha bhali nityam hiranya yenata buddhi ye varshakena buddhi bhadra. Nanda Dhulari Radha time is passing and the mindset is not becoming better, it is getting worse. He is getting more words to describe Lord Vishnu and how he feels about Lord Vishnu. So the father goes to his court and he takes advice from the pundits that are there, that serve him, that teach him things, that serve the heirs, that inflate the ego. You know, worst thing is when somebody is not objective and honest with you, especially a guide, your advisor, your spouse. You're making a mistake and there's nobody to tell you, hey, you're going wrong. A true friend maybe pull you one side, not embarrass you, but tell you, hey, you could do better than that. I don't want to see you go down that road. But imagine now I depend on my priest to do the best prayers. In the example of the priest in this case. And to be friendly, to be accepted, and not to be an irritant. Don't worry. You have no milk. You fast properly. You want to offer the stipulated ingredient. Don't worry. We will get through. I won't tell nobody. You do what you want and God will bless you. Don't fret. That's the kind of person this person surrounded himself with. This type of weak individual that considered themselves the best advisor. He tells them, royal priest, Raj Rishi, come and teach my son what he needs to learn. Coax him. And they come and they say, dear child, Prahalad, we want you to be happy, but we don't want you to propagate untruth. Who is the master of this universe? Who is the master of this world? Who is the master of this house? Your father. There's nobody against him. There's nobody stronger than him. Then why are you pushing a lie? Do you have any proof that Lord Vishnu is even real? Do you have any reality, any proof that he could help or save you? I know that your father, as the person in charge of the treasury, in charge of the army, he has all the different weapons. He could do many things for you. Prahalad is listening, but he is not changing. People will come. When you listen, one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu is Buddha. But you notice in any temple you go, you don't see Buddha Murti. As a Hindu, you do Ram, Krishna, you have Narsingh, you have Varaha, and that Pitya with Hanuman there. But have you ever done Buddha Puja? Vishnu Puran tell you why? When he created the Buddha incarnation, there was a very unrighteous person. But the person was following to the T the rules of prayer. So much so, just like when you have the formation of the Shaligram with Shankarchud, I have to break your prayer in order to destroy you. So Lord Vishnu makes, in the text they call him Adi Vishnu, later text they would say Buddha, a false prophet, to come and tell the person, long story short, don't do all that fasting. You see all that prayers, all that jap, all them things you're doing, don't do that. Have an easier way, an easier method. And if you follow this method, you'll get better results. So you put yourself in that position. The fella say, okay, no problem. Start to follow the new method, and Lord Vishnu get a rope now to destroy him because he break his prayers. So when, as per that discourse, the fake Lord Vishnu, Adi Vishnu, Buddha, wanted to come back into the body of Lord Vishnu, he says, you stay on the earth in the form of other religion. This is the part where Hindu people don't discriminate. We don't fight other religion. Think about what I'm saying. If I belong to, is a question I just get on the internet a lot. If I belong to another religion, but I really like what all the teaching in Hinduism, what is the ritual, what is the baptism, what is the rite of passage that I have to do to become a Hindu? And the answer to that is, well, it do have that. Hinduism is a way of life. Dharma means I live by certain principles rules. I don't eat these things. I bow to my parents' feet. I worship God and plants, animals, etc. Those tenets make me a Sanatanist. The true name of our religion, Sanatan Dharma, eternal principles is what that means. Hindu just mean the people who was living in the Indus Valley. It didn't have a better name for we. So you could say Trinidad, Trinidadian, Indus, Hindu. When you say Hindu, think about where we just be saying we living in the Hindu Valley. That is all that would mean. The true name of your Dharma is Sanatan Dharma. So when, as a pundit, we're doing the, how you call the wedding book, the registration, you don't put Hindu, you put Sanatanist Hindu. That is what I believe in. He says, stay on this earth and you propagate different religion. Give out doctrines that are weaker, that teach little, and allow the soul that is not ready to reach Lord Vishnu, allow them to filter out and go on, and they will come back. It has good in other dharma. They will have to be reborn and come back. On one day, the person will come into a body that they will find in their heart, just like Prahalad. Naturally, I have an inclination for God. I understand prayers. I want to do it the right way, and then the person will get mukti. However, you will see in other religion, different types of thinking, different things. God is the creator of everything, but he could only live in my church. If you commit suicide, then God will love you. Only people with my skin tone is God's people. Women cannot enter into heaven unless they wear skirt. Different rules, numbers, race, and racial tendencies propagated in the name of religion. But Hindu don't walk the road and say, listen, I want you to come and join my mandir, come and join my flock. We don't believe in that. You have to have the credit of karma to give you the opportunity to have the vision that God lives truthfully in everybody. And when you see somebody who say, my way is the only way, say, all right, brother, if you believe that, go up the road. Don't get vexed, don't react. If a 5-year-old child sitting in this audience today says something ridiculous, let me use that word stupid, as a child, and you could tell me, Baba, what do you get vexed for, boy, that child? We expect from children. In the same way, when people make pronouncement, when people say things about your Diya or your Murti or whatsoever, they don't understand it. That is all. They reach to the point to see good in other people stuff. If you and I could sit down and practice good, let me just say truthfulness, help the hungry, take care of the displaced, and this world would be a nice place. All the church, how much mandir it have now? Think about 100 years ago. Mandir, church, masjid. And it seems that the wars, the sickness, the sadness, and the disease are going nowhere. Maybe we need to stop building so much at church and mandir and start to build some hospital and school. Maybe in Kali Yuga, we need to stop getting chained up with this thing called religion and start to really live right. That is what Sanatan Dharma says. That if you are a follower of Vishnu, see him where he really lives, antaryami, inside of everything. Get out of traditional and tribal culture of race and racial tendencies and treat people with regard, respect. Instead, with all these books, with all the TV and the radio and all this propagating, all this message, you still have a tendency now. But young people still don't say good morning and good evening. I remember when you were small, you couldn't do that. You see people stand up here, you have no manners, what happened there? But now it's okay. Somehow it's allowed. You don't have to say prayers again. You don't have to light diya by a jandi again. But we're talking more jag, Uncle Kenny. Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. Prahlad is talking these types of truths, and he says to his father, what I'm saying here is not a lie. If you could just change your ways, Dad, you will see the truth and you'll see the beauty of it, and you will find happiness. You seem, yes, you are powerful, but you seem very agitated. You seem very angry. And one day, Prahlad is placed on the lap of his father, and tears start to run from his eyes. The father, as he makes up his mind that you are a failed child. And in that moment, the whole thing with the poor to burn him, the father makes the decision, it's better you're dead than they make me shame. The human side of him in this monster, tears run. And Prahlad in the next verse, verse 23, 24, what are you crying for? I cry, Dad, when I am practicing devotion to Lord Vishnu. When I hear his name, when I hear his story, when I hear somebody singing his glory, when I remember him, when I render service, when I get to go to the mandir and I just touch the foot, I get to wipe off the dust from his foot, and I think that I did a favor for him, I start to cry. Is that why you're crying? When I get to worship him, when I get to say the prayers to him, when I dedicate something, Krishna Arpan, when I do something and I say in his name, I am doing it, I start to cry. When I talk to him and I confide, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm hungry, and I tell him my story, I feel like I am less burdened, I cry. When I offer whatever I have or whatever I get to him, I cry. Is that why you are crying, Daddy? Is it now that you are reaching to the point where you become a devotee of Lord Vishnu? Hiranyakashipu's lips are trembling. One side rage. On the other side, he knows his son, the one that he thought would take over the throne. He had so much hope in this child. But this child is spreading teachings that would lead rebellion in his city. He will become the enemy of my ruling. It is better I destroy this enemy now and let one of my other sons rule than leave this treacherous child to grow in strength. He's a little boy now, and look at how he's talking and teaching people. What will happen when he becomes a man? What will happen then? What I will say is, I should have done it. I should have stopped it, but I let my feelings get in the way. They tried all how to find a way to persuade him. Narad Muni says when there was no other way, they threw him off a cliff. They tried to damage his body. Prahlad says, if this is what you wish to do, Dad, do it. I put my body, I put my mind, I put my safety into the hands of Lord Vishnu, and he will hold me and cradle me. And he was able to smile. There was no doubt. He did not, in his heart, Narad Muni says his heart, what made him powerful? In his heart, he was not fearful, because there was no doubt that Lord Vishnu would take care of him. In every attempt to kill him, they failed. Their eyes reddened with anger. That this boy deserves more than this. This boy deserves capital punishment. He's a traitor to the country, to the ruler, and it is as if he's protected by some spirit. He will bring an end to our family. The person he is praying to, Vishnu, caused Hiranyakashipu, the one that in this picture here, where Lord Vishnu is in the boar, the Varaha form. Hiranyakashipu, his father, elder brother, that form had destroyed him. He says, this child does not favor our family. He forgets the heinous murder of his uncle, and he is supporting the person that murdered his uncle. It is better that we really rid ourselves of this child. And soon, just as you take medicine and you overcome the feelings of sickness, with time, the pain of this sickness will pass. Just as a person can amputate a diseased appendage or a finger or a toe to save the rest of the body, it is better we cut him loose. Destroy this enemy now. Do not feed him. Do not let him sleep. Find a way to destroy him. And they tried different demons, different animals. It wasn't only trying to burn him, trying to feed him to ferocious animals, different things, starving him. And when they would come in the morning in the jail cell, when they lock up the little boy, he would be full. I'm not hungry. Don't bring no food. I'm glad you're not bringing no food. I'm happy. No matter what they did, Lord Vishnu continued to shower him with grace. When the demonic people, the Asuras, could not kill this innocent child, they employed elephants, serpents, black magic. People say, I don't believe in black magic. Tamasic prayer. If you don't understand how mantras work, to touch on this, when you use your prayer to harm people, Vashikaran mantra is an example of a mantra that for mind control. I want to make this person do what I want, behave the way or love me, and that wasn't naturally so. When different kind of mantra now, you want to break that tendency, you use Sun Mohan mantra is a category of prayer used to break the spell that people cast on people. People make a big fuss about, I believe black magic, but the truth is sometimes your lack of prayer. When people talk about in different religion, the gates in your body, the orifice in your body, spiritually, you have nothing guarding your body. You are weak because you are weak in prayer. Nothing is protecting you. Most of the time, that is the source of your problem. These people were trying all types of black magic, but it seems as if his prayer was so potent and so powerful that it was useless. Everything was not working. They took up mountains, big boulders, and they tried to pelt the boy. Nothing worked. They threw him in deep holes, silos, to see that he would crush when he reached to the bottom of the cave. They tried to give him poison. The poison turned to nectar because he offered it to Lord Vishnu first. They put him in dark places thinking that he would go mad. He closed his eyes as if he was in the dark place anyhow. And he starts to sing to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu brings light in that dark place, that wherever you are. We said it earlier in our discourse, that Lord Vishnu says there is nothing too big for me to give my devotee. When people think, you see that problem? I don't know if God could handle that. Math's real hard. I don't feel Saraswati Mata could clear that way for me now. So it come like when things are good, I have faith. And the day you're tested, throw away the faith. But here is God telling you, no matter where you are, whatever condition you're in, so you're fasting, you're on land, sea, air, and you're in difficulty, you call on him, he coming. In that deep and dark, remote place, Lord Vishnu brought the light to keep him safe and comfortable. But even then, in dark and light, Prahalad was not moved. He did not jib. He did not give them the satisfaction of fear, begging what they thought, take me out from here, oh God, don't leave me here. Instead, he started to talk to Lord Vishnu in the cave. Lord Vishnu, you see where Pobi? You there? Yeah, there's two of we here in the cave, boy. Where you going to do? And remain very calm and tranquil in sight of all the danger. In this way, he's frustrating this person more and more, to the point that the people who were carrying out the orders, they started to wonder, but it looks as if this Vishnu is real. Who is protecting this child? The father, earlier we talked about Sam, Dham, Dhan, Be, the different method a parent tries to instill something or get from a child. you could talk. Sternly buff, we would buff. Bribe, I will give you this. If you pass the exam, I'll give you the PlayStation. If you do your homework, I'll let you get to watch the TV show. And when all that failed, done says, I will take up the stick and I'm going to crack you if you don't do this. So the father, guided by his ministers, tried all these different things. He tried. He didn't go mad. He was being advised. Try to talk to the child. Try to buff the child. Try to bribe the child. I will give you this, that, and the other. Then when it couldn't work, I am threatening you. If you do not change, if you don't stop this now, I'm going to kill you. But with the done, just as you see child abuse today, when people have different hormonal confusion, I just couldn't take the bawling anymore, Pundit. So you know what? I put the baby's hand on the oven glass, the door, to punish the child. Stop bawling, stop crying, stop behaving like that. And in that person's mind, that was justified. I couldn't handle this child anymore, so better this child dead is where this father reached. He was so frustrated, but he wasn't changing. Yudhishthir says, how is it? All this was happening. What was Prahlad still doing to this poor man that he was still getting so upset? Prahlad went on the soapbox, or what we call the pedestal, in like the town center, and he started to talk about his experience with Lord Vishnu and how he feels. And he, for many verses here, too many to read, he says, I feel sometimes like I'm going mad because I cannot express how I feel about my God. I did not always have it, but that relationship with this unseen entity has become so strong that I cannot see myself on a daily basis do anything, try to accomplish any act or transaction or journey without talking to him first. If you try it, you young ones, all the children from the demonic families, the demons now, them listening to him because he's singing good. And he's making more and more enemies, because you could imagine, just like how you have politics and you belong to this side and I belong to that side. Imagine somebody went to infect not the people, the adults. Imagine somebody tried to attack the children now, change the thinking and do what we want. The other day, you saw it when people were trying to change the books, and in one of the books tried to push a different opinion. And parents got very angry and upset. Why are you trying to influence my child to think like you? Prahlad is doing the same thing. This is not what their culture preach. This is not their practice. This is not their way of praying. To look at it from a different standpoint. The fathers and the mothers of these children go to the king and say, you see, your son trying to influence our family to break up our home. Stop your son, please. Keep your son away from my children. If that's where you're talking, we don't want that. We know it one way. We pray one way. We believe in that. Prahlad still would go and talk about his experience with Lord Vishnu. He still wants to preach. And Yudhishthir listening to all of this, and he could understand how upset Hiranyakashipu feels that you want the child, is your child, but this child is letting me down in different ways, and I'm frustrated. I don't know, Yudhishthir says, so how is it that he became so infected with this love and this adoration for Lord Vishnu? He says these things started within the womb. Within the womb. It so happened that when Hiranyakashipu was in the mountainous areas doing the job to get the Vardhan, that he would be free from this danger, that danger, etc. The wife who was pregnant, she was left alone, and all the devatas charged the city to kill. Narad Muni, knowing that within that belly was the answer to the problem, went to save this pregnant girl from the slaughter of Indra and others. And he ushers her out. Quick, let's go this way, turn that way, and get away from them. Within the womb was this growing force, the only thing that could have broken Hiranyakashipu. When they're about to leave the palace, Indra stops them. And he says, inside that belly is the son of my enemy. I have come to destroy that child. If I destroy that child now, Hiranyakashipu's rule and ways will stop with him. And it will not propagate into next generation, etc. Narad Muni says, listen, the enemy that you are fighting inside this belly is the only force that will be able to beat him. And if, if you handle this wrong, you will cause trouble. Remember, Indra is always doing some craziness. First night when we hear about the sea and the swords, the lady and the menstruation cycle, remember where did it come from? Indra and his ways. Narad Muni says, wait, don't kill this child. Let me teach this child about Lord Vishnu and let him bring down this dynasty without lifting a sword. For this reason, whilst the father was doing the prayer, the influence of the enemy is propagated into the belly by the voice of Narad Muni, who sings the praise of Lord Vishnu, telling the unborn child who he was, how he looks, how he behaves, what he does. So when Prahlad is born into the world, as a part of his body and psyche, this love was already there. Prem se bolo Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. Yudhishthira says, now I understand. Now I understand the history of this hatred. He says, well, when there was no more room for patience with this boy, it came to a headway in the court of Hiranyakashipu. When called to the court, Prahlad is singing and chanting the name of Lord Vishnu, and Hiranyakashipu could not take it anymore. He's calling him Antarayami, Adoksaja. Adoksaja is a name for Lord Vishnu that says, only you could break me out of this birth and death. And the father was listening very quietly, trying to control himself. But he excited the jealousy inside of Hiranyakashipu. You are singing the praise of this person, and you're not singing the praise of me. You should be singing the praise of me. And that envy, as we heard, where does Kali Yuga live? In a home where there is envy. The person becomes possessed. They start to think and talk different. Whether a parent, whether a spouse, whether what. Think about it is here domestic violence. When the wife making more money than the husband and they just have a fight. They would think, normal logic, if you making more money, that means two are we making more money. Our house is moving up. But now, that's a problem. And now it means that I have to quarrel with you, vex with you, fight you, because you're making me feel like I'm less of a man. How did you do that? The jealousy and the envy is corrupting your brain, and your perception of the moment is totally skewed. For example, in this case, sitting on that throne with that big piece of gold on his head, the influence of Kali Yuga is biting him. And when he couldn't take it no more, he gets up. And he says, oh, demonic boy, a Surya boy, you have been born in this family. But it seems as if God, in his wisdom, misplaced your soul because you are not the son that I prayed for. You do not have the qualities of my family or my name. You belong to somebody else. But, oh, little boy, oh, stupid fellow, tell me, if your beliefs are true, you're bragging about this God that has no limits and he could give you everything. Is your God real? Prahlad did not wait. He says he's everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's here, there, and everywhere. We use that word in prayers. But when somebody says God lives here and only here, only in my place of worship, not yours, only in the temple, God lives here. This is his house. On Sunday morning, I come see God. I behave, I fast, I dress appropriate, and God see me, and God will be happy. But when I go in different mode, in different place, and I act different, God don't see those things. Then you realize how people's mind are limited. And with that limited understanding, they limit God. He says, friend, if he's omnipresent, that means, and he slaps the post. He says, this pillar, this glass pillar, that means he lives here. He says, yes, he lives right there. He's inside here right now. He said, then, let him appear. If your prayer is real. Otherwise, if you cannot prove your God once and for all, stop it. Hush your mouth. Stop pushing a lie. Because I believe he's not real. Prahlad put his head to that pillar. And in the embarrassing moment of all this talk in front of the court, he says, Prabhu, save me now. Take form here now. I'm fed up. This point, it reached our headway. He's threatening my life with rage, with violence, not only myself, but people who pray to you, God, protect your devotee. And as you know, that's the moment, the first thing that happened inside the pillar, bright light. And from that bright light came this very scary form. Maybe the artists make it look nice and friendly. But when nursing appears, it is as if the earth was ready for Mahapralay. Everything was ready. At this moment, if he called to destroy the earth, it was ready to go. Because with that force, he killed all the people in the court. He goes as per the blessing of the Father, neither inside or outside, neither in the air or on the land. So he puts him in the doorway on his lap and rips open the body. And if you watch the true picture of nursing, the mala that they put around him is not flowers. What was the intestine of Hiranyakashipu? He dressed himself in the body. As he roared, he was destroying everybody. All the devatas, for many verses here in the latter part of this discourse, all the devatas are trying to shanti him, please the bad person, destroy. It stopped. And he says, when a person interfere with a devotee, do you think I am going to shanti just like that? When somebody prays to me with ardent devotion, and there are other people, envy, jealousy, attacking this individual, what will I do? And they're begging for many pages. And the only person that could have gone to help, because he was destroying everybody, was the same Prahlad. The prayer or the kavach of Prahlad, again the armor, is found in Brahmanda Puran. Put your hands together and let's chant just a couple of verses. This is the prayer. Brahma tells Prahlad, go and talk to him. He will harm you. And even their nursing holds on. Imagine, think was in a close eye. Imagine Lord Vishnu is so angry that you're interfering with my child, that when he held on to Prahlad, the nails of the lion are sinking into the back of this boy. Blood is oozing out of his back. But even there, Prahalad dare not move. That this was still my God. This is my Devta. Tears are running from his face because when I needed him, he protected me. Om Narasimha Kavach Vakshay Prahalad Noditam Pura Sarva Raksha Raksha Karam Punyam Sarvodrav Nashana Sarva Sampat Karam Chaiva Swarga Moksha Pradayakam Dhyatva Narasimha Darshanam Hema Singhasan Stitimaha Vravritya Tasya Trainashanam Shrad Indu Samaprabhanyam Lakshmana Linga Gita Vamangam Vibhu Adi Rupa Sistam Chaturbhujam Komalanganam Sarva Kundalam Bhushitam Saroja Shobhitam Raksha Ratna Keyur Moditam Ugram Vidam Mahavishnu Javantam Sarvatu Mukham Narsingham Beshanam Bhadram Mrityo Mrate Namostute Vishnu Bhagwan Ki Jai. When you understand, as I concluded now, when you understand this form, then you understand the correlation of how strong your linkage should be with your God. When you realize there are within your family, outside your family, people that smile with you, but they really don't wish you well. The enemy is real. When you look at based on what we said about Ved Vyas, he's taking the training, but he's putting it like a movie. He's putting good side and bad side, boon and shrap, and all these things. And you think, but how come all the pundit them just be putting shrap? The truth is, you think people is wish you well every day. The difference is, you're hearing, I don't want to see you prosper. I don't want to see your children do well. You think everybody just wish you well and raise their hand and bless you to flourish? If we only knew how bad people think about us and look at us, when you cannot benefit from people, when you cannot give them what they want, you become quite expendable. That is the reality of this life, more so now in Kali Yuga. When under the duress of the attack of people like that, this is where you need a protector that will come from even a post, from any corner, crevice, wherever you are. You need somebody to protect you. So for this reason, when people are under the effect of tamasic worship, imagine when, okay, let's say we have a funeral, and you go to the funeral and the person want to put deodorant, perfume, all ever see that? Boots is a police guy, is a fire officer. We want to put the uniform now in the box. In a military type funeral, they want to put everything in the box. Everything, his shoes, the gun, the bata, everything. No, stop. Hindu don't do them thing. We don't want people to get it in their head that they could put what they want in this box. Because in other religion, there are methods where people could use the soul to do their bidding. They would write it on parchment paper and use different passages, different language, and tell more or less the soul, for you to get rest, go and feed on so-and-so person. So the Hindu, as you know, you go to their home to do funeral, they will say, use a flower. We have flowers. We want you to put flowers for daddy. We have extra mala. Put mala for them. Nothing else. There are people that will try to come to put funeral dirt, different things. And when they get it in the box, just as that body, most of the time the burial type funeral, just as the body is rotting, watch the living person. They rotting too. When those things start to happen, because it happens, and there's no medical explanation, there is no logical bacterial infection that is causing it. The doctor, the same person in the hospital, taught in science and microbiology, will tell you, go and see a priest. And in those type of dire cases, that is when, just like that prayer we were saying for the nursing form, nursing worship is used. That form of Lord Vishnu is used for the worst form of attack. You know, you just fast from salt, for example. We just fast from salt because of the daughter of Lord Shiva. When I abstain, in karma, how I give is so I get. So she get frightened, long story short, in a moment when Durga and Shiva was quarreling with each other. And Durga said, well, you get frightened, you afraid me? Go and live in that salt, you stand up next to me. So Lord Shiva says, all right, no problem, after everything passed. Your mother say you will become the energy or the soul of salt. I bless you. Salt will become the main ingredient in all pot. She was what you call kitchen queen. The name of some seasoning they use in cooking. You could put how much seasoning, pepper, what you want, but nothing contests the power of salt. Then he tells you, because of your fear, you get this place. When the person fasts from salt, remember this, because it explains why it is fast from salt. When you fast from salt, the fear, afraid I fail the exam, afraid may I get through with the appointment, the visa, the job application, I have a fear. Fast from salt and you'll overcome the fear. When you put, we offer on the baby salt-free food, but in the prayer Gita say, only when you share food stuff, your puja is completed. So every Hindu know if it's just the prasad, if it's a bottle of water, but salt food is with tradition. I am sharing the salt food, I'm giving it in charity, I'm sending it home with them. When the bandara they do, carry some now when you're going, you carry extra, don't worry, carry. I know why I'm doing it. When I have a fear, the sickness gonna take me, overcome it. Don't worry, salt. When people have the worst type of psoriasis, the worst type of lupus, it taking the person. Take salt, mix it in ghee, and use nourishing mantra. And that type of fear cannot take you. Just as how nourishing protects Prahalad, he will protect you from whatever enemy, adversary, threat, damning, or damnation that is coming. But it's just for you to believe. Believe in it. Salt is also given in the Siddha. When we go in and lift we Siddha for Pandit and them, if you watch inside the Siddha, we meticulous about what we put in there. It has a purpose. Everything, how you give, so you get. So, for example, I'm going to give grains that are whole, not dal. I don't know where dal come from. Dal will never grow. If you're offering in the fire, you're putting coconut that have water, it's fertile. The energy, the life of the coconut, I'm putting it here. Durga Mata, please accept it. It's sattvic, it's not offering an animal life, but the Shakti inside of this grain is still real. It still could grow into a tree. Accept it and bless me with the energy and the fertility that the day I need it, I will have that Shakti in my life. Likewise, I'm giving grains in the Siddha. When the Pandit take it and he takes some of the grain and he burns some with Gayatri mantra, I will see a lessening of my trouble. When the person puts salt inside the Siddha, especially for when you're doing Gaudan and like the Yagna, or when you're praying for yourself, I have a fear, I want to overcome the fear. Krishna Arpan. When the person is doing it on behalf of somebody who has died, the soul traveling, one day they will have to deal with the Yamdut, they will have to go for judgment. Don't let them fear. In the southern entrance to the house of Yamraj, where sinful people are going to pass, they are beaten and treated very bad, because when they see Yamraj and they start to tremble, they cannot answer out of fear. What did you do? I gave you 60 years. Where you do with your time? I made you a father, I made you a brother, you wanted children. Did you guide these children? And it's licks if you can answer. So the person saying when they're giving it in Dan, don't let me afraid. Let me be able to answer. Don't let me go through hardship, difficulty. And have you ever heard people say they dream the dead person coming with Tarya and Lota Bhartan and they're beating it. They want something, they want help in dream. That is indicative, according to Shakun Sastra, that the person is going through hardship. Something wrong, they're suffering, they need some help. So the person go do the little prayers. You don't go and just take out food just so. you will invocate Lord Vishnu. Please accept this on behalf of that person in trouble. Help them. So for this month of Adigmas, a lot of people doing that. As I said last night, people who commit suicide, people who go through heinous type of death, murder, or maybe somebody kidnapped the person, unfortunately, and they cannot get the body to do the Antyeshti Sanskar, proper funeral rite. So in funeral where you don't have the body, you just take a bundle of doob grass and put it in, I say in a shoebox, it could be something else, but something to match the size. Why the doob grass? The doob grass is linked to the Kurma form of Lord Vishnu, where he was in the turtle, and the grass was growing on his back. And when they started to churn the ocean, and the Mandara mountain was, like the swizzle stick on the turtle back, it started to dislodge the doob grass. For that reason, it came onto the shore. You ever went to the beach and see a variety is a species of the doob grass? And it's always growing by the seaside. Nothing else might grow, but that will grow. And when Mohini was sharing the Amrit, a little drop fell, and the doob grass remained. So that day now, when you're doing that type of funeral, you are saying, Lord Vishnu, you who live in this grass, please accept the offerings on behalf of that soul. Because I, contrary to belief, I am not worshiping the dead. I am worshiping the God. Remember, in a funeral, there's the person you love, the loved person, the soul done come out. It's not your father, your mother, your this, your that. It's the God that was sitting there. So the shell looks different. But once I put the tikka for Lord Vishnu, the person who died, they get the blessing. And that's how those type of funeral go. But sometimes we don't realize, just like Hiranyakashipu, we don't realize where God lives. We put place for him. We build a nice murti and we think that's the only place he lives. And that is where we make a mistake very similar to what this Rakshas made. If we could emulate what the little boy is saying, however, and live like that, because I realize he's really here, there, and everywhere. The food, everything has a purpose. Then in simple prayer, you would be able to get the protection and presence of God. Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. Everybody at this time, let's all stand as time has run away. This is what, session 9? Our 9th session. Coming to a close. Baba, you have a copy of the arti? Give me a little arti there, man. Sajam cha varti sanyuktam grahina yojitam mayam deepam grihana devesham trailokya timidapaham.
जय जय भागवत भगवान की आरती पापियों को पाप से है तारती। जय जय भागवत भगवान की ये आरती पापियों को पाप से है तारती। ग्रंथ ये मुक्ति पंथ ये पंचन वीर निराला नव ज्योति जगाने वाला। ये अमर ग्रंथ ये मुक्ति पंथ ये पंचन वेद निराला नव ज्योति जगाने वाला। हरि ज्ञान यही वरदान यही हरि ज्ञान यही वरदान यही आरती पापियों को पाप
Everybody.
भागवत भगवान की जय आरती पापियों पावन पुनीत शोक मिटाने वाला, हरि हर्ष दिखाने वाला।
ये शांति गीत पावन पुनीत पापों को मिटाने वाला, हरि दर्श दिखाने वाला।
हे सुख करणी है दुख हरणी,
हे सुख करनी है दुख हरनी,
हे मधुर सुरन की आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। जय भागवत भगवान की ये आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती।
जय जय भागवत भगवान की है आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती।
ये मधुर फूल जगबंद फूल सम्माद दिखाने वाला, भिगरी को बनाने वाला।
ये मधुर बोल जग बंद खोल सन मार्ग दिखाने वाला, बिगड़ी को बनाने वाला।
श्री राम यही घनश्याम यही,
श्री राम यही घनश्याम यही,
प्रभु की महिमा की आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। जय जय भागवत भगवान की ये आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। ओम नमो नारायण।
Everybody.
हरि ओम नमो नारायण। ओम नमो नारायण। 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 हरि ओम नमो नारायण। नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा।
Put your hands together. Remember the teaching of Prahlad. Don't be ashamed of your God. When you want to sing and when you want to dance, if tears come from your eye, you're doing it right. But if you're reserved and you're so focused on where people gonna say, then you're studying people and you're studying God. When you get the opportunity to learn about your God and to better your protection against the negative and the negative forces of this world, what an opportunity Lord Vishnu put for you. And you alone will know what that will do for you. Don't try to shield yourself from the power of God. Don't throw away an opportunity like that. Dear Lord, as we come to the end of our 9th session, this 3rd day of our Bhagwat, as we move forward, Prabhu, please bless all your children that are journeying from their homes to be here. Bless those people that are cooking, cleaning, making all preparations so that all of us could come together and pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity in this Adig Mass to listen to your glory, to chant your mantra, to listen to the story of your devotee. And Prabhu, giving us a very easy template to follow. Prahlad did it, I could do it too. In simple language. Dear God, give me the support to do it, to execute it, and to remember it, especially when I need it most. May you please accept each and every one of your children. If our minds strayed in the course of our satsang and the puja, bless us to still get the blessing for the good that could come from being here, listening and watching prayer. Tvameva Mata. Everybody. Tvameva. Tvameva.
Dravinam Tvameva.
Tvameva. Together, everybody. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. Prem Sabalo Mahapati Mahadeva ki Jai. Pawana Sutta Hanuman ki Jai. Shri Adi Shakti Mata ki Jai. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Satya Sanatan Dharma ki Jai. Jai Jai. Sitaram. Sitaram, everybody. Sitaram, everybody. Please have your seat.